Good.
Sounds good. Okay. We're getting ready to call the planning board to order for the 18th of June. And we're gonna start off with roll call. Mike Wallace here, Avern Danforth.
Yeah.
John Crawford on line.
And the drums?
Evan is excused. Correct? David Levesque,
Yeah.
Heidi Wheaton.
He didn't, I notified her, but I haven't heard back.
Did you hear anything from her? Okay, not excused. Michelle Anderson,
Here,
that's it.
get planning.
Okay. Acceptance of the minutes from 5/21/26. Has everybody read those? Have any questions, comments?
No.
Nope, we're all set.
I move that we accept the minutes.
Sex.
Okay, all in favor? That's out of one.
Show.
You found him?
Who, yeah, oh yeah, they're, yeah, if they had any problem with it. Yeah. I have a resignation that I need to read in from John Cody. And it says, "Good morning, Peter and Tom. Please accept this email as my resignation from the planning board. As I move into new employment, I do not believe that I have the time necessary to fully commit to the responsibilities of the position. So thank you for the opportunity to serve on the board. It's been a privilege and I appreciate the experience and the chance to contribute. Thank you again. Sincerely, John Cody." I have a motion to accept that resignation. Well, yeah, we got to vote on it, right? So, okay, so the second,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we'll
all in
second
favor, okay. So let's all write in the minutes.
Do we have an alternate for that job?
We are searching an alternate and David Levesque has stepped up to take his position, which the council will vote on the next council meeting. And then Diana and Tom have already looking for another alternate position. So they were right on it. So, and do we have any old business?
We gotta vote on these.
We just did, didn't we?
What?
We did vote on it. Everybody
We
said
did?
yeah.
We can vote again for you if you want.
The motion wasn't actually made. I think.
Accept the resignation.
We have any old business?
The only thing I have for old business is to let you know that I finally got all the forms signed and Sylvia Mahar picked those up on Wednesday for the subdivision for Acton. So they will be getting that registered with the county clerk. It's all done.
Good.
That is good news.
That's the last thing we needed?
I'm sorry.
Is that the last thing we needed?
Yeah, that's all we need. Yeah.
Okay. What we have up for new business is the plans for Acadia Timber, the housing development in behind Mass Avenue,
Is it Arcadia or Acadia?
Acadia. Well, so they say Arcadia, but I was,
No, that's a spelling mistake.
yeah, it is Acadia, right?
It's Arcadia.
There's no R.
Acadia.
No R, has an N at the end, yeah.
I correct friends on that all the time.
So, and can I have you guys introduce yourselves, please?
Sure. Conway Elkins, Vice President of Real Estate and Public Affairs with Acadian Timber.
I'm Noel Musson, planning consultant from the Musson Group in Southwest Harbor, Maine.
Okay, good, so please.
Okay, before you start, this just so all board members know, this is just an introduction of their plans, okay? They have not submitted anything, so this will just be so you know what their plans are and what they're gonna do. And then it will go from there.
No,
Questions at the end?
no,
We hope so.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's why we're here.
yeah, we can have it, I think, just to
We
interject.
just have.
If I
Well,
could,
no, I mean, it's good, but I just thought it would be another formal meeting, but
Yeah, but this is just a planning board meeting. We're not taking any outside questions, if anybody, I don't see the people that want to
Right, it's not a public.
come
hearing.
anyway. It's not a public hearing.
They don't show up when we start.
well, all right, that sounds great. Indulge us.
Okay, I'll do it just as a brief way of introduction. Tonight is a continuation of what we've been at, working on this project for nearly 18 months now. Identified an area, I guess we'll go back in time, a need for housing and land for housing has certainly been identified. So we've gone through our holdings, given that we own a lot of the land around town, narrowed down this first project to be the parcel of land around Jerry Pond. Engaged with a couple of third-party consultants, Noel being one of them, Terry Dewan is another one, landscape architect, who have been working at this for, as I say, well over 18 months now. Meeting engagements, many stakeholder meetings. We presented to the town council back in April, Peter, I think, April, maybe it was back even before that. Maybe it was February, yes, sorry. So back in February, took those comments away. We had an open house in early May here in town, very well attended. Lots of good feedback that we've started to incorporate into what you're gonna see tonight and start to discuss. We've got an information sharing email set up where we're exchanging emails, and I've actually received a fair number of thoughtful queries thus far from people in town. Mainly all positive, direct to us. And we're excited to move this forward. So as Tom said tonight, very high level overview. We do hope to get your thoughts on what we're thinking. So please, we'd like this to be a two-way conversation as we learn and take into account what people are thinking, and we'll go from there. I'll hand it over to Noel.
great, well, thanks. As Conway said, we've started off talking with the town quite a while ago about, you know, this area and housing needs and what we heard from the community, and said, and we're thinking about how we can, you know, work with the community to provide some opportunity for new housing development. So really the thing that we're going to be going over tonight is more of it's not a development proposal. It's the first step in the development proposal. So the area we're talking about needs to actually be rezoned for development. And what we're proposing is a different it's sort of a hybrid zoning approach, which we're calling a concept plan or master plan development district, which we want to talk to you about. And the idea there is that that's going to allow us to come and work with the community to figure out what is the right mixture of uses in this area as we're thinking about how we integrate the zoning district. So I'll go over some more detail, but what you'll find is the idea, the concept is to come up with a master plan for this area, which outlines the restraints and the allowable uses and the different things that would be allowed in this area that we're talking about. But you'd still have to go back and get, you know, a developer would then come in and have to go back and do like traditional subdivision reviews and that stuff. So it doesn't take away that level of review, but it sets the table for it in a more thoughtful way. And what we found in past experiences, it's nice to kind of work out some of those larger details in advance. That way, when people come back to the planning board for, you know, a regular subdivision, you already have some sense of what it's supposed to, you know, be like when it gets there. So it's different from a traditional zoning in that, in a traditional zoning sense, the town basically says, oh, we're going to convert this area into a, you know, residential 2 district with these dimensions, and you sort of leave it up to chance as to what you're going to get in the future. And this one, we sort of take that middle of the road approach by saying, here's what you can expect in this area in terms of development densities, you know, the type of uses that should be there. And then you're going to have applications come in and add the details to that. So we'll go over that. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
So this presentation is very similar to what we've done before. We thought it would be nice to be a little reiterative in terms of what you may or may not have seen or heard from the other presentations we've done. And then, you know, feel free to ask questions along the way, and then we can talk about it at the end. All right, so this is basically the Jerry Pond area that we're talking about. It's about 385 acres. The area around Jerry Pond, and you can see where the town's property on Jerry Pond is located. And those yellow markers on that plan are basically potentially access points or paper streets.
Here, I don't know how I can see that. Can you dim the lights a little bit? Are you guys okay to see that?
Yeah,
It is difficult.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Heather?
Works for me. Work for you guys? I know what the slides say, so. I think I know what the slides say.
How far is the pond from the arrows?
The pond, so the arrows are different paper streets, which we've noticed on some of the plans and other points of access to the upland area. And how far is New Jersey Street? I don't know specifically. It's probably what? Maybe 1,000, 1,500 feet,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all that.
something like that.
Okay.
And I mean, you all know this area better than I do, so I'm gonna try to do my best at explaining it and then we'll talk more about it. So yeah, I mean, along Grand Avenue and along some of those other streets and the new development, there were paper streets planned in the future for this area to be continually developed. So the purpose of this site is more orientation, but we'll get into that.
There isn't anything around the water tower, correct? It's just at the end of Canyon Drive?
There isn't anything around the water tower at this point. Nope,
That's
that
good.
is different land.
Okay.
That's not part of it. Well, it could potentially be part of the rezoning project, but it is not it's not Acadian land.
Okay.
Yep. Next. So in our investigations, one of the things that we wanted to understand was what are the existing conditions in this area, and can anything even be done out there? Is sort of the first question before we
Yeah.
come to talk with the town and ask you about zone changes for development. It's nice to know that we actually have some potential out there. So we have actually gone out and done wetlands investigations of this whole area. So we've identified vernal pools, we've identified all the wetlands. What we didn't do is go in and find, if you're used to seeing development applications and people come in and they really fine tune the wetlands, so you know where the upland areas are and where the wetland areas are, and sometimes it helps when you're thinking about roads and driveways and stuff in terms of where you put that. What we did in this situation was we have the broad brush strokes of the wetlands, which helps us understand the major constraints that we're dealing with. And those are the yellow colored lines up there. So you can see there's actually wetlands, but there's also quite a bit of upland area in this location. The bigger blobs are vernal pools. Some of those vernal pools are significant vernal pools, which require different
Yeah.
setbacks. It's not that you can't do anything in wetland areas or vernal pool areas. It's just that you have to be sensitive to what you're doing in wetlands.
Do you have to get the feds involved?
Was that?
Will you have to have the feds involved?
Depending on the level of development, we'd have to go through DEP permitting or Army Corps permitting for any of that stuff. The progression would probably be we're identifying through this process pockets of where we think development is going to occur. We'll work with the town to get a rezone process so you can actually do that. And then when you come in to do a specific development, that's when you'll fine tune the wetlands and then decide what level of state or federal permitting that you'd have to get. Yep. So basically, you can see there's changing topography out there. Some of it's really flat, some of it's a bit steep. And then the wetlands sort of corresponds to that as well. Next slide. The other thing we wanted to do is understand, what sort of trail networks were there and or proposed. This is just an overlay map showing really not, some of these are trails that are there. A lot of them are trails that happen to be proposed. And then we were actually quite curious about where the snowmobile trail is. This is an older map. So we fine tuned that quite a bit based on our past conversations. So we know where the snowmobile trails are. We know where the major hiking/biking trails are, and that's all important because that gets integrated into our thinking about the master plan. So how do we think about how this area is already used? What things do we need to try to integrate into the master plan to help maintain some of that connectivity, both from the recreational biking, hiking side, and from the snowmobile access point. So that was an important part of what we wanted to do at the very beginning. Next. The other thing we wanted to understand was how the area is currently zoned, so we actually digitized your zoning map and colored it a little bit so we can start to see what we're dealing with. But this puts the property in the area that we're talking about in the context of the whole town. And I think the next slide zooms in a little bit more. Yep. So what we're dealing with right now is the open space resource protection area that's already around Jerry Pond, and then the rural development district and a little bit of R2 district as it relates to the new development area.
So do you own the pond
No,
No.
we own the land around the pond.
where it's green?
Yep. No, where the green, so the green is the or open space resource
Mhm.
protection zoning. Yeah. So the property that we're talking.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
On the west side.
And everything on the east side is the town's, Peter?
Nope.
No?
Actually, I think everything around the pond, with the exception of where you
Yeah.
see where the street is in New Jersey Street, that's the town.
Yeah, the squares, down part, that's.
Yeah.
And are people going to access the pond the same way they do now?
Yep,
Yes, yeah.
yeah. That's a big part
And there's no homes gonna be in the way
of how you access.
to
your
get
home.
from that road to the pond?
Yeah, yeah, well, let's get into it a little bit and we'll show you kind
Okay.
of what we're thinking about. So also, I do want to caution you, it's like this is not a lotted out, subdivision plan, like this is like, we're talking.
What you're talking about right now.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we'll,
I get it.
yeah, but I think, as I was saying earlier, the important part is to know, like, that is an important asset to the community. It's owned by the community. And we also want to integrate how people get from, the new development or the rest of the town down to that area. And it's all got to be.
So you guys aren't in charge of the leeches?
We're not in charge of the leeches. I know. Yeah, somebody is. We have to figure out who.
If you find out, let me know.
We'll figure, well, we won't figure it out.
Someone will.
Somebody will, yeah. So it's, the rural development district, and the open space resource protection district are the current zoning structure that we would have to deal with, which really limits the ability to do the kinds of things that we've heard that are needed and desired in this community. So that's where we're starting from.
So I'm the only one asking questions. Should I wait?
Well, no, it's just,
Now we're chill.
Where?
misunderstand it, that's all.
I don't go to Jerry Pond anymore because my
Sure.
boy's gone. He's grown up and gone. Where are the playground picnic tables? Where are they on that map?
Right
Oh, okay,
Area on the other side of.
gotcha.
Yeah,
So that's not affected either.
No,
Okay. Thank you.
let's go to the next slide. All right, so as I said, the overall goal that we're talking about with based on all this information that we've sort of gathered on the site, the overall goal that we're trying to achieve here is to maintain the natural resource and recreational resources around Jerry Pond. We're trying to create new opportunities for community development that will support town and regional growth. Like that's the big sort of mission statement, if you will, for what we're trying to work through. Next. And there are several planning objectives that when we're thinking about, how do we approach this? Protecting open space and shoreland resources is really important. Minimizing the effects on existing neighborhoods. Walkable streets and interconnected trail networks, so we can provide, how do we provide connectivity both from the existing neighborhoods and other parts of town? To try to provide a range of housing types and densities. So if you think about, the new development is a fairly dense neighborhood, which is really nice, and then there's opportunities to have less dense neighborhoods.
So will we call this the new development? We can finally call the other one the old development?
Yeah, again, not the one, sometimes I call it, but we're talking about the new development.
The really
New development.
newest development.
But we can work on that.
now,
So we're talking about, and we have,
You have a question?
well, I just had a quick one.
sure,
I don't know if it's gonna be up to the development or not, but I mean, is there gonna be any infrastructure to this at all?
yep.
There is.
You mean for us or for?
Yeah, for
them?
like the water and sewer?
Yep. Yeah,
So
let's talk.
that's
about
all
that.
gonna be tied into that as well.
In some areas,
So there's no septic on artesian wells.
there's some areas where it would be more beneficial to have septic in wells, and then some areas where it would be better to tie into town water and sewer.
Better by,
And this will be clear, actually, we should
Okay.
wait, it'll be clear.
Well, I was just curious, because I was thinking that that's, as far as lot size goes, if you have to have a artesian well and septic, you could have a minimum of a 1.5
Yeah.
acre lot.
Right, well, yeah,
So that's a lot of land.
yep, and then if you're in a, like a traditional septic system, the minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet. And then, with water and sewer, you have a lot more flexibility, so that's what we're talking about. But I also think, if you look around town, and we can get into this again too, but you know, this is a big enough area where you can say, well, hey, this area over here makes a lot of sense to have smaller lots that are less than 20,000 square feet, where you are matching sort of the character of the
Mhm.
neighborhood that's adjacent to it. And then the farther out you go, let's make some bigger lots. And what we're trying to do is figure out what is the, you know, there's a demand for all different kinds of housing types. So that's what we're talking about.
these people are all employed or have,
Well, hopefully, eventually, yeah.
Okay.
But when, again, I work all over the place in the state of Maine doing planning work for different communities and different developments. And one of the things that I've always thought is really cool and interesting and exciting about this town is that there's a lot of things that are just like percolating. It's like a pressure cooker waiting to pop. And so what are we doing in this project is trying to figure out ways that we can support that for
the
success in the
poppy.
future.
We want the poppy.
You do, yeah. That's what I've heard anyway. Yeah. Next slide. All right. So what is the master plan development district? It's really the thing that we're going to be talking to you about over this meeting and the next couple of times that we get together is creating a new zoning district that establishes a framework up front for development through a master plan, like I talked about. And it in that master plan, it would allow for incremental build out, which is consistent with the plan.
You mean like for later on?
So what's gonna happen is, if we have this, 300 and plus acre zone, we may not come to you and say, we're gonna do, X number of housing units all at the same time. We're just establishing the baseline density that would be there, and then over time, different development scenarios would come before you that would help build out that, but only to a certain point. Does that make sense? Okay. So I think about this a lot, and so if I'm not explaining it well enough, please stop me and I'll try to explain it again. All right, we also want to make sure we're incorporating open space and natural resource protection and provide predictability for when people in your situation have to review plans in the future. Next. So what are some of the key features? In the master plan, we're going to try to show where the primary road network is going to be. We're going to think about general land use areas, which we'll illustrate later. So where's the residential areas? Where's the mixed use areas, if there are any? What are conservation and open space areas look like? We're going to have development capacity ranges. So we could have between X and Y number of units in this location, or X and Y number of units in this location. Where infrastructure and utilities might go. And then we're starting to think about design principles and potential phasing options. So these are things that we're stewing on as part of the master plan right now. Go.
On a previous one, couple back, it said something about limited commercial
Yep.
stores.
This could be what we have talked about, the idea. So when you think about a zoning your zoning, you're part of the big part of that is allowed uses. One of the things that we had heard is that there might be a need for really small scale commercial uses. And my thought would be something like a small convenience store or something like that as an allowed use in a certain area, but not all over the place. So
Okay.
very small scale commercial uses. I'll call it neighborhood scale commercial uses.
Okay.
Yep. Next. So here we are.
Oh,
Allowed uses could include single family homes and duplexes, multifamily homes, apartment buildings, accessory dwelling units, small scale neighborhood commercials, trails and recreation connections. Next. Also, I think we mentioned this before, but environmental and open space protection are key parts of this. Conservation areas will be identified up front. Everything needs to be in compliance with shoreline zoning. That's not really negotiable. That's something that you have to do as a town. And protection of sensitive resources and again, just to reiterate, trail connectivity and public access.
What are sensitive resources?
Sensitive resources like we know where the vernal pools are, or Jerry Pond is a sensitive resource. Next. As I mentioned, traditional zoning, this is where people, you would come in and say, hey, we're gonna change this whole, this area from RD to R2 or whatever the designation is for something that's more dense. And then the planning about that stuff happens at the later stage. What we're talking about is doing it pretty much at the same time we're changing the zoning. So we'll setting limits, you know, ad hoc decisions are gonna be not, you know, minimized. And we have a public review process up front, which we started, you know, back in February. Next. So there's a lot of coordination that happens when you're able to do it like that. The administrative burden for the planning board and for the town starts to even out a little bit. We're also able to create the opportunity for housing diversity as opposed to just creating like a one, you know, one size fits all approach to such a large area. Thinking really hard about how we integrate, you know, the road network and the effects of that up front, and then the protection of the resource. Next. So this is the concept plan at its early stages. And as I mentioned before, what this does is really starts to think about the land in almost like micro zones within this larger zone. So basically kind of starting off thinking about how do we integrate, you know, that open space resource area and shoreline zoning around Jerry Pond. Then how do we enhance that a little bit more? And that's the dark green color. That's like a potential conservation area. So within that zone, within that micro zone might be more limited uses and hardly any residential, if any at all. Basically like trails and open space and all the things that you want to do, you know, in more of a conservation type setting. And then we started to think about, based on what we know about the wetlands and what we know about the connectivity between the new development and our new development area, you know, how does that all fit in? So you kind of have that orange strip along the edge. That would be where we would want to concentrate more single family small lots, very much in line with the ones that are already there in the new development. I will say we have heard through the past meetings, and we are going to do this, that, you know, creating a nice buffer strip between the properties that abut this land and the new development that would occur on the other side in the orange strip is an important part of what we're going to integrate into the concept plan, just not illustrated here. But that is something we heard, and that is something we are planning on integrating. I'm going to call it pink area up in the top left-hand corner. Salmon color area. There we go. That is the area that we think would probably be most appropriate for larger lots. Those would be the lots that would most likely be on septic and well, just based on topography and the pumping that you need to do to get the septic to work and everything that.
I only know it's salmon because I'm a girl and I had the 64 Crayolas.
Yeah.
You guys only had 8, right?
Right, we probably only had 8.
This is probably the higher elevation property.
Yep, it is. Yep. Yeah, it's got great views from that area, and it's a good opportunity for larger lots. And then the area in the orange where I talked about the small lots, those would probably be the lots that would be on the water, be on town water and sewer. And then the blue areas, we could think about those as also small lots, but maybe more clustered lots. And then in the purple area, that is an area where we thought would make sense to be more multifamily type developments, maybe apartment buildings, other things. I think when we were at the public meeting, people talked about the need for, you know, senior living.
So right now,
those kinds of things.
keeping in mind that this is still kind of temporary,
Yeah,
those are the only apartments? The rest are going to be houses?
yeah,
Okay.
potentially.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that is probably going to change, but
Yeah, and I think what you should expect is that with new state laws that are coming out, if you haven't started tackling those things yet, you're gonna have to do it anyway, but you know, density requirements are all going up. everybody's allowed to have an ADU. And,
We've already done that one,
yeah,
haven't we?
so, yeah, you probably already have some of that, but.
So,
Yeah, and then what's on town water and sewer? And within a growth area in your comp plan, that there's implications that.
Okay.
You have to address anyway, and this is very much compliant with that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
How many lots are you anticipating?
we haven't really gotten to the full number yet. I know we have, in another slide, or even a plan, paper plan that I brought with me, we have like blobs and acreages, but we haven't gotten to the point of saying, this is how many units that we're really targeting. That's something we're developing.
It's 385 acres, so it could be a pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you mathed it out based on what potentially
Be over 100.
could occur with state laws, it's a lot. We just haven't mapped it out yet. And I think you have to deduct some wetlands. There's a lot of nuance to it, so, but I think the point of the master plan is to come in and say, in this area, this is what you can expect, and it's all in the code.
And you plan to do this incrementally? Or you're not gonna start selling anything until after all of that is full?
Well,
or-
the first thing we need to do is change the ordinance to allow for this to happen. And then secondly, I can't say how incrementally it would happen. I think it really depends on what the demand is.
My dad was an architect, that's why I asked.
Yeah. Would you get, multiple, I don't know. It's hard to say.
Mhm.
So it's hard to answer that. It'll be a phased approach where we're gonna start over here and work our way over here, or we might think about it as we get into these discussions and say, you know what, maybe we just don't want to phase anything. We just want to let it all ride with like how the community develops. So anyway, that's the master plan. What's next? All right, so the next steps we think about are workshops, which we've already started, draft the ordinance language, planning board review, council consideration. So, we have to go through, we're working together on this one. So we have to go through, together. Here's how we think it could work into your existing ordinances. We have to come up with the ordinance language. We've already started to work on that, and that'll probably be like the next conversation that we have, where here's some suggestions. This is what we're talking about, and then we can have some conversation about it.
okay. Couple of things so that you don't get off on the wrong track here. This is all going to, as you know, we're in the middle of redoing our comprehensive plan. This is all going to play into that, along with some other rezoning that we've been talking about. So this is not going to be a simple process. It's going to be a lengthy process. It's got layers to it.
And
That's why we want you guys to all have an idea on what we're talking about doing. Especially when it comes to changing zoning and changing ordinances, what we would allow, what we wouldn't allow. So
will NFA have any legal assistance with that? Or
I don't know. My helper is on vacation right now, so when she comes back, she'll have a lot more information on what,
Are you
how.
eating? Are you eating? You're okay with cooking and stuff then?
No, he's wrong. Helper.
Oh. I was gonna.
No, Lorna will have to be very involved with this because we're, like I say, we're redoing the comprehensive plan. That's gonna play a lot into this. Because our comprehensive plan is not Millinocket's comprehensive plan, so we gotta fix that.
No.
You've approved a couple things on it, but there's gonna be a lot more of it to come.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a little bit, and at my work, we write a lot of ordinances and work with a lot of towns on these kinds of things as well. And what I think, as you're getting into the comp plan sort of mapping discussion, so this is the future land use map that we're really talking about. And I also think you want to think about as we're getting into this a little bit, we'll think about what areas of your future land use map you say you're going to call it. Maybe a portion of that, if you go back to the map, Peter, portion of that might be like a growth area, and then a portion of it you might want to call it something else, because there's implications to how this plays out when you term certain things now. growth areas or outside of growth area.
It's limited.
There's some nuance to it, and it's meaningful now
Proper language is gonna be.
when you use certain language, particularly when you have good access to town water and sewer. And so what we want to do is help you make that future land use map be consistent with what we're all talking about for this master plan.
So it all fits. So it all fits together. When we do this, we do a plan that's gonna be a long-range plan to fit all this into our comprehensive plan, so we don't have to turn around and redo it again.
Yep. So I think about basically 4 different sort of frameworks that we're going to be working through. One is a sort of a conservation framework. You know, how do we make sure the pond is protected through that, maybe that conservation area? You know, wetlands and significant habitats, trail corridors, those kinds of things are all thinking about in terms of that conservation / maybe open space framework. Then there's a development framework, which is basically like, how do we think about not just from the master plan, but in the code, you know, where general residential areas are. What are we thinking about for, you know, a mixture of if there's areas where it makes sense, like see the green in the middle, that's the area where we think might make sense to be more of a mixture of that small scale, neighborhood scale, commercial use.
How big is that
That
in real life, roughly?
I don't know.
I'm still trying to get a sense of.
It's really small. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the name of full, something 385 acres.
4 acres.
Yeah, it's about 4 acres. And then, you know, thinking about the units and we can start to think about setbacks and lot coverage type questions and those kinds of things. The trick with the master plan and where we are with this sort of hybrid approach is that we don't want to be so prescriptive that you're, you know, sometimes traditional zoning can be very prescriptive, like you have to have 10-foot setbacks.
Limited.
You know what I mean? And your lot coverage needs to be X% and that kind of stuff. And so we may want to set some guardrails in the master plan code and allow a developer to come in and say, hey, here's how we're going to meet these objectives. And it oftentimes allows for a more creative outcome. So we got to work through that a little bit. The transportation framework, I know, you know, some thinking about where the major, you know, road needs to go. That doesn't mean that, so the white line is where at this point we've conceptualized roads that are connecting. And these would be, I'd call those like the major roads through the area. It would almost be like, I hate to even say it, where, you know, like, it's like another Connecticut Ave, but like not necessarily, we don't know exactly the scale of it. And then there could be subdivision roads off that.
Now, I'm thinking 3 steps away. Is this going to be gated?
No,
Okay.
Gosh, I hope not.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. It's a-
yeah, I think the point of this, particularly in the orange area, is to be an like an extension of what's already there.
Hmm.
And then it sort of builds out from that, where you have, you know, the salmon area, which is more bigger lots, which are a little atypical for this area, but definitely needed from what we're hearing.
Okay, what do you mean gated? Now, there could be a developer that buys up in that orange section and puts in a high-end development and it's gated property. I mean, yes, that
But the whole thing.
that
is
could happen.
gated.
No,
No,
like if you're
That's
thinking
what
about
we
us putting a gate on New Jersey Street, that's not
Okay,
what we're talking about.
okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, this is supposed to
Thought you
be
were telling me to shut up.
integrated back to the community. So the transportation framework, you know, we're thinking about access, we're thinking about, you know, traffic to some degree, we're thinking about trails and pedestrian connectivity. We're thinking about future connections. There's also an infrastructure framework where we're starting to think about water and sewer, stormwater, utilities. Some of that gets addressed in the master plan, and some of that will get addressed during specific subdivision proposals.
They can do.
So those are the kind of the four frameworks that we're gonna be working through in a
I'm
little
sorry,
more
what was the fourth one?
infrastructure. Yep.
Is that bridges and tunnels?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's gonna be any significant bridges, but there could be a culvert or a bigger box culvert that looks like a bridge. It depends on where the development actually occurs. If there's a stream or a topography that needs to get crossed. Yeah, I think the trick that we're all gonna be working through is, where are we in this continuum of development? Are we down here, where we're gonna be working together? Now, moving forward is not in the weeds of like, how do we deal with specifically this stormwater management for this, 25 lots? Or these 25 units, it's, here's where the main road should go. These are the parameters by which the main road should be built. This is the phasing by which that should probably occur.
And if it's something of that magnitude, it would probably be the Army Corps of Engineers that would take that particular part.
Yeah, there's some other things, if depending on the scale of what we're talking about, or how soon some of this happens, there's, the DEP is really the one that's gonna help work through stormwater management and stuff like that. Yeah, and then the permitting through like, if we have to permit over a certain level of wetland impact, that's where the Army Corps would probably come in. Yeah.
It's gonna be a good thing because they take charge of that complete project, including the cost, correct?
No.
No, they don't install us anymore.
Usually they'll say, hey, this is great, here's your, your permit fee.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll help you work through that, but yeah, the applicant has to pay for that. Yeah.
You're old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
And I think, there's also lots of opportunities as we're thinking about this from the larger community scale, there's opportunities for grant funding to help with thinking about, the water and sewer infrastructure and how that all is gonna play out, so it's not like a full burden to the community. It's this is you're planning for the future, and you can use the tools that you have available to help plan for the future. So that's where we are.
Peter, grant writer. Write that down. Grant writers. Grant writers.
Oh, you guys have all kinds of good grant writers.
Oh, we do have a grant writer on staff.
Good.
Yep.
And remember, water would be, we expect the water company to do all that.
Speaking
We
of-
don't own any water, we don't own any,
That's correct.
that would all be there.
We will just be stormwater and. so
We'd be some,
Speaking of water, this is gonna raise the cost of our hydrants, Peter?
Not.
Really?
Oh,
we hope not.
I can get into a deeper issue, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, I don't think we can stop that, but we've been. Conway loves it when I say it, that we've been very clear along the way that that's to get to the wastewater infrastructure. Pushed for larger lots throughout with well and septic. Plus we see staff.
I think in this scenario, again, we're looking at trying to create new neighborhood opportunities. And by extension, adding water and sewer infrastructure to those neighborhoods is actually a benefit in the long run to the town. You're adding users to the sewer system and feed payers to the water and whatever else it is. And
taxpayers.
I think it's a real consideration that, we're not trying to add to the burden today. And what we need to do is work together to find ways to, bridge the gap to help, make this meaningful and successful in the long run. And that's where the grants come in. Yeah, so the next thing that we are going to be working on together is actually like, here's, your section 125 or whatever it is in the ordinance. I think it's 125. you know, here's where we need to talk together, like, where does this new master plan district really fit into to the bones of the ordinance? And, we have started an outline, but I think it would be probably better for me to like type it up a little bit more and then send it to you guys and we can digest it. And then have like a thoughtful conversation about that in addition to, you know, here's where we are with the master plan, here's where we are with the code language, and start to marry them together a little bit.
Along with Lorna. Along with Lorna. She'd be in on that as well.
Absolutely, she has to be a
Yeah,
major player in this.
yeah. You're doing the comprehensive plan, so she's gonna be involved in it.
Yep, we've been talking with her all along.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think any feedback where we are today is, again, any feedback on the kinds of uses that we're talking about, or you know, anything that's jumping out at you based on things that you're seeing, general reactions to the concept of a concept plan?
When, given again that this is temporary, I mean, possibly change, possibly not. When do you guys plan right now to start actually building? Or have you already?
Oh, a developer will do that.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, to be clear, we're landowner and forest managers. We're not necessarily developers, so we're gonna make land available for developers, not ourselves. Which is not to say that in the upper part, we may take a portion and do lots and do that stuff ourselves, but we're certainly not home builders. We're not, yeah.
You don't need all that.
okay,
It's just-
thank you.
Yeah, I think we'd like to make consistent progress on this, you know, where we are at this stage, so that we can, you know, be in a position to, you know, capitalize on or assist with the other things that might be happening. So how do we, you know, we just have to make kind of consistent progress on it, so the opportunities can be there when they're needed to be.
I think for this board, Michelle, that the biggest concern we're gonna have is with Lorna doing the comprehensive plan and what's in our ordinances now and the proper language moving forward that we're gonna have to incorporate in that. That's gonna be that'll be our biggest, I think, obstacle.
Did we do this like 20 years ago?
No, not to my knowledge, I don't think we have.
Alice Moragas is still alive.
Last time we did anything was 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now, in 98, there was a plan put together similar to what they're talking about with the paper streets, but it never went anywhere.
when Alice was alive, they worked on something, it's the other one, not the comprehensive plan, but the.
So,
No, it wouldn't have been zoning, it would have had to been comprehensive plan, not the previous one, but the one before that.
Yeah, spent a lot of time with your ordinance, so, yep, it's been that long. since we looked at it.
Very obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea that we put together, I think is not significant structural changes to your existing ordinance. It's really an add-on to
Mhm.
what's already there.
I think Tommy made that. We discussed it just briefly the other day. I think that you said that.
Yeah, really, what this will all add up into is some new ideas, and it will also help us with, we're in the process also of looking at some of our ordinances and codes, so this is all fitting in great, because a lot of that stuff hasn't been touched in years.
Yep. And then maybe you look at your subdivision ordinance and tweak that a little bit too. Someday.
Someday.
Yeah, but again, you know, the concept that we're talking about is we're taking the opportunity to do a lot of the thinking about the area first, and then we're creating a code structure around that, and then getting back to, you know, more like traditional subdivision review for specific projects.
So you guys own the land right
Yep.
now? You own a lot of land? I mean, not just Millinocket, you buy up land?
they're
Yeah.
80 timberlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Conway and I don't own the land. We are
They're
working
huge.
for
They're
them,
really
but does own the land.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I still want to talk to you after the meeting. Got 100 wooded acres to sell.
All right. Well, we do a lot of, you know, I work on just a bit about my background in case anybody really interested, but I've worked all over the state. One of the biggest projects I worked on was well, two of the biggest projects I worked on. One was I worked with Katahdin Woods and Waters to do like their statewide outreach plan, so that was really interesting. We did a concept plan for, I'm gonna get this now, but almost 15,000 acres, 50,000 acres up in northern Maine. That dealt with 3 or 4 different lakes.
Where was that?
That was around Square Lake, Cross Lake, Long Lake.
St.
and-
Agatha.
Yep.
Yeah. Fish River
I
Lake.
want to talk to
Fish
you.
River Lake. Yeah. And I do a lot of work with municipalities all over the state. And we also are very in tune with the housing work, trying to help communities break down some barriers for housing development that's much needed all over the place. So, yeah, this has been a really interesting conversations with the community. I think Conway mentioned this, but the open house we had, or the public meeting we had a couple month or so ago was
Yeah.
awesome. It was a great conversation. It was really fun. So we had good turnout too. I thought. So,
Everybody was old though.
you know what?
No.
I thought
No.
it was a good mix of people there.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Huh.
It was a really good meeting.
It was a good turn.
I don't know what you guys thought.
It was
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
young adults,
Word.
early 20s,
Yeah.
pretty consistently up
Yeah.
through probably,
Yeah.
Even your.
well, Adam was there.
Oh, yeah. I was there, I thought it was
I
great.
was in Boston. I wanted to go. but I was stuck in Boston.
And so there were 30 some odd in person, and at one point, there was probably another 20 online,
Did you serve food?
out of
Yeah.
did.
That's why they went.
Yeah.
They couldn't
out
have a
of,
cheese.
4,200 residents, it's a small percentage.
Yeah.
It's a great turnout for something like that.
And you plan to have more of those?
We may, but that's probably that's the first one we're gonna have. We got a lot of good feedback from that one in terms of, the concept plan itself, and I
Yeah.
think we're always open to hearing some suggestions. I would say, generally what we're hearing is let's find some areas for, very much in line with the concept plan that we're talking about. If we could find some areas where there's smaller lot availability, larger lot availability. I think we're open to discussion about like the small scale commercial and what that really means. Where do you have multifamily units versus not, those kinds of things. And then feedback like the buffer between the.
Yeah,
new
that was
development and
important,
new development.
last April.
Yeah, I think we heard that. We've heard that a few times, which was, we had actually been thinking about that in advance of that anyway, and it was nice to hear, some. of that
Somebody
feedback.
else.
So, yeah, what can we use some of that conservation land for? How important are the snowmobile trails and the hiking trails and that kind of stuff? How do we connect from here to here? Those kinds of things. Yeah,
I don't have more questions. I'm sorry. I had one when I walked in. I asked you 8.
I guess they did a good job then, huh?
So what,
Yeah.
so I think the next phase for us with you guys is gonna be actually, here's the language that we're proposing, and then, take a red marker and hack away at it.
Look forward.
Seems like it would be helpful for us to say, here's what we think you should do. Then you can build
absolutely,
something.
yeah.
Think about who you're dealing with.
That,
Yeah.
what they'll do is, as they draw that up, that will come through code, and Lauren and I will look at it, and then get you guys involved. So, and that's the other thing I want to tell you, there's a lot popping right now, so we're gonna be busy. We may go,
Did they start it popping?
we may
I
go
asked that
to
question already.
more than one meeting a month, so.
More than one meeting a month, which would be fine. If we need to push it.
Yeah.
Push it.
Yeah.
You don't have a problem with that.
Great.
I want to thank you for
Yeah.
presenting this concept tonight. I mean, it's really informative for myself. I think with all of the recreational things that are going on around the area, and with something like this here, it would also induce other industries to say, okay, now we have something that we can build on and
Yeah,
bring people in and help the community. I think it's a great idea.
great, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very much.
I want to congratulate you on the concept. and the way you're approaching it and developing it. And I think we're fortunate to have you with your experience working on it. And it's going to be a process. Look forward to the next step
Yeah,
and working with you.
same. This is exciting.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
you're gonna be coming here for a good while.
Yeah, probably.
Off and on, yeah.
Yep. We'll be here. I love it up here.
That's good because we have a lot of recreational activities that happen around Jerry Pond.
Yeah,
And it's mostly for our young children that are 16 and below.
yep,
And,
And don't mind leeches.
we do a lot of things with them there and we could expand on that.
sure.
So that would be awesome.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of pretty good stories about Jerry Pond, so it's gonna be fun to sort of think about how that fits in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe
Great.
revitalize it a little bit, in terms of the people that are actually going there. It seems like heard some good stories about the past and a lot of people used to go down there.
Used to use it years ago.
Yeah. Yep. There we are.
There we are.
Anything you wanna add? No, good.
Anybody up here got anything? We're good?
I'm done.
No, I just look forward to the next meeting.
Great, good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Tom, do you have anything upcoming you want to share? We're all good for now? Or?
No, I'm working on 2 plans right now. That whichever one gets back to me first will be on the July meeting.
Okay.
Unless we try to do 2 at one meeting, I don't know, counts on
Serve dinner.
what it looks at.
Tom,
Be here.
can you update us on the Millnocket Manor? I know they
I was just gonna ask you about that.
Millinocket Manor.
Senior citizen.
They made a presentation to the town council that they are talking about maybe, if they get the funding, breaking ground in August or September.
Keep pushing it back.
If that happens, they will not be getting any permits. They'll have to come back to you because their permits will have run out.
I
Again,
thought they had their funding.
Well,
well, we
we had
did,
some engineering issues that
We-
changed it out.
we did too, but the other night they said in public session that they were trying to sell bonds, so
They were not going to?
No,
that they were.
Going to, okay.
Okay, so we very well could see that come back to the planning board again for a site plan, another site plan development. And I've got another site plan development out right now on a project here on Penobscot Avenue. That I haven't heard anything back from them either yet. but
VFW.
The VFW, I've looked at that plan. The architect's got the plans back to me. And all they're gonna do is break that into phases. So as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to reconvene on that. If they want to do, like do the first floor, the main floor as the first phase, and then break out and do the second floor, similar to what we did with Arcatard at 230
Yep.
Penobscot. We let them break that into sections to do as they got the funding. So
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Making a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.